Greetings. Greetings. I want to thank all of you that are tuning in. This is very, very important issues that I'm going to be talking. The unspoken story of one of our important personalities in Southern Cameroon. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. Remember that I'm broadcast live on my Facebook and I'm also broadcast on my YouTube. On my YouTube, it's called Transparency Media International. Thank you, Abakwa. Thank you for tuning in. And if you just join in, remember to share because that is the way we get the informations to the right source. So this is one important person that is in within our midst that the story has never been spoken, and that is why I'm going to dwell on him. It's a very, very important person within the Southern Cameroon territory, and he has a story. And when I learn, the more I learn about his story, and his story become part of my story, and his story become all the Ambazonian story. And here is Daniel Funton. I will be speaking live from the great state of Texas, bringing to the international community the awareness of this, our fellow brothers, uh, Fritz B. He's hail from Besongabang. For those who are from Besongabang, in Manfred, and that is you that I'm addressing this message to you and the rest of citizens of Southern Cameroon. And not only just the Southern Cameroon, but the faith-based religions that he is the key member of that organization. And I want to thank all of you that are tuned in this evening. And if you uh, pre- please briefly indicate below where you are, and I usually go around and take note of the comments of what you make. It is very essential that we bring this attention not only to our own basic fundamental knowledge, but also bring it to the attention of the rest of the world community the story of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia and the citizens that are being picked up by the neighboring country, La Republic du Cameroon, and the excruciating pain they go through each time they are under the control of the neighboring country, La Republic du Cameroon. As you may see, that is our brother. That is our brother, and he's also an Italian citizen. And he's called Fritz B. He's here from Besongabang. Uh, he's from Besongabang village in the south region of southern Cameroon. He is a person of interest. His story is excruciating for you who may have heard him, for you who don't know more about him. And so that is why I am bringing not just for the international community, but I am also bringing to the United States government the, the impediment. We all know that the U.S. vice president of this great nation spoke about religious freedom for those who stand to express themselves in the form of religion must have liberty to express those form of religion. But in southern Cameroon territory has become a jungle where an invading nation, La Republic, has destabilized the people of southern Cameroon and continue massacre the citizens of southern Cameroon into an extinction. But however, I am bringing this not only to the United States, I'm bringing it to all the citizens of this great state of Texas here in the US. Because it is quite painful that when you see the destruction that is being carried out by La République du Cameroon. Southern Cameroon has never been a colonial territory of the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. So let's look at who is, before I dive into the story and more, let's look at Fritz B, his own story that will become part of Ambazonia's story. Let's look. He was picked up. You can let's just go, you see him. You can see he's in chain. Yes. Anyway, um, Fritz, be Fritz. As I was saying, I want to thank all of you that are tuning in from my Facebook and those who are tuning in from my YouTube. Transparency Media International. Remember to share, remember to copy and paste, remember to email, and remember to do whatever it takes. Let's get the information straight to the people of the greater society. And I know if you are in Europe, if you are in ground zero, if you are in here in the United States, you are in China, Asia, Europe, wherever you are, I want to take a moment to thank you all that the strong spirit that we have for the complete liberation of the Southern Cameroon territory, Ambazonia, is our noble objective, is our goal, and it is something that we should be proud to accomplish. And we can only do this with a broad collaboration between all of us, no exceptions, all of us. Those who are still standing on the sideline and that they don't believe that they can join the momentum, well, it's time I ask you to join the momentum because the strong spirit for liberating the people of Southern Cameroon has already begun. If you can choose to stay aside, but remember that history will ask you, what did you do? Fellow brothers and sisters, we are at war, and the enemy is trying to challenge us. But however, with our beloved and togetherness, we can overcome. So let's look at a very important person that is part of our story, a story that many of you haven't been heard of. So who is Fritz? Fritz is a citizen of Southern Cameroon. He was simply visiting his family. He is an Italian. He's a Southern Cameroon Ambazonian, and he's also an Italian citizen. His residence is based in Italy. He is also known as the president of the Tabernacle Foundation. He's also a clergyman. He's also a clergyman. And he's also the author of the Destiny Encounter. The author of the Destiny Encounter. That is him. That is the citizen. That is one of the brain of our Southern Cameroon citizens. He was simply visiting his family in his hometown in Basoba. So what happened? Because citizens of Southern Cameroon had become a priority of the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. So he was picked up by the most aggressive foreign foreign troops of La Republique, the so-called the BIR, Intervention Rapide. That was a foreign troop of the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon, that are currently stationed in Southern Cameroon territory. These are the BIR. They are foreign troops that are currently stationed in Southern Cameroon without any authorization from the citizens of Southern Cameroon. That is the true fact that when he visited his family in Besongabang, he was picked up by these the brutal, evil force of the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. He was taken to Victoria. He was taken to Victoria. Give me a moment, give me a minute. So he was taken to Victoria. While in Victoria, he was held under Comunicado by the neighboring country La Republic. While in Victoria, he was transferred immediately to Boya. To Boya, where he was held by the police, La Republic Police Department in Boya, with other surveillance and military commandos that will monitor him. This is simply a clergy. He is not a politician. He's simply a clergy. He has nothing in his hand. A clergy. As you can see from his attire, from his dressing, he was simply a clergy. And he was picked up and immediately transferred by a helicopter. As you can watch. He was transferred by helicopter. He was transferred by helicopter, as you can see, to the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. While in the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon, he was held under the Senel. The Senel, you all may not know. Senel is one of the brutal systems that was created by the most dubious Fauchive, for those who is of late, the most dubious Fauchive. Fauchive is one of the most brutal and the most dubious person you have ever known in the history of the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. Fauchive. He is the author and the creator of the Senel. Now they call it they call it FG. It's now DGRE. I don't know what the word in full means. It's called DGRE. That is the one of the most brutal that is existing now. And then he was transferred to the Gendarmerie headquarters, where they have the SED, where most of the citizens of Southern Cameroon are currently being transported from Southern Cameroon to this brutal neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. Right now, he was there for almost, after 59 days, he was transferred to Ukondenge, where he's now where he's now residing. He is currently, now that I'm speaking, in Kondenge. So now you can see his images. You can see he is in chain. You can watch. That's him. That's him transported. You can watch. That's him in his own church. That's him speaking in a church, in his church service. He is the president of the Tabernacle Foundation Clergymen. He's the president of the Tabernacle Clergymen. That is him in his church service. And now he's currently held in Comunicado by the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. He's an Italian citizen. So that's him. This is the Untold story of, he's also an author, the Destiny Encounter. Before we proceed, let's look at these are other our fellow brothers, and they are still in Conning. But I was told, according to the current information reaching my newsroom, indicate that Macho BBC has finally arrived in Condé from where he was taken. Some have thought that he was immediately killed or murdered. So I haven't got any information from his whereabouts, but there is indication that he arrived in Condé. So maybe in days ahead, we will know what happened and where was he. This is Funtan Daniel speaking here from the great state of Texas. That's, you can hear. That was Mancho BBC. So it is quite amazing that is why I am bringing attention that our core value has reached that high level in international community. So it is time we come together and understand that it is imperative that we avoid this demagogy of arguing, fighting one another. Because if you can view and see the magnitude in which we have reached to, we have given La Republique that we are a sovereign nation, and our dedication and our fight and our spirit of sharing this information and selling it to the international community has started yielding fruit. And so that is why I am letting you know that this is not the time that we should be fighting. This is the time we need to sit up and think about how can we move forward. I think that should be the goal and the objective of the people of Southern Cameroon. Let's listen to this important. Give me the power, give me the freedom. And then you can see this is another voice that was raised by a Ghanaian born citizen that dedicate her talent to the voice of the people of Southern Cameroon. I think we are enormous. We are pulling the heat on not only just the international community, but on the neighboring country like the Republic of Cameroon to understand that we were never a conquered territory. We were never a colonial territory. We are equally people of a strong, equal calibration like the neighboring country, like the Republic of Cameroon. Your people are crying, why won't you listen? Seeking for justice, for our future. Let's do this together. A peace and harmony. CC will take us there. To the promised land. No one will stop us now. CC will take us there. To the promised land. No one will stop That's a big question that we should be asking ourselves. How can we collaborate? Collaboration and understand one another and be able to acknowledge one's mistake is the key for our success and to present our case for the international community that we are capable. We are more divided than ever before because a certain individual wants to be shown. No, all of us are collectively have one complete idea that we all acknowledge freedom, liberty, and equality, and that we must not be governed by foreign nations, and that we should be able to govern ourselves. We have acquired all the best education in this world, and that we are capable. We understand the fundamental differences between us and the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. And yet, we cannot come to a one conclusive argument because one must claim that I must be the one. No, if each of us are like a human being and each part of our body is a system, each of us working like a human being and each part is a system, and each of those systems contributing for the one full goal. The aim is to achieve the sovereignty and independent people of Ambazonia. Our brothers and sisters are in the ground zero and shedding their blood. While we are here, let the international community understand. But how can we do this in harmony and in strong spirit? Collaboration is the key. That is the key. We can move forward together. And that is why the songwriter, a Ghanaian citizen, picked up the story in a very amazing song. How much do we need? How much? Collaboration is the key. And the continued momentum that we are building is leading us yielding the fruit. The momentum is yielding the fruit. And we need a more stronger collaborations. And we need to show the people in ground zero that we are strong and we are strong more than ever before. And that is why we have to contribute enormously to ensure that those in ground zero that are physically in that environment, that they have all the things they need to be able to defeat the enemy. You all know there is nothing, even the United States fought a series of war to become what it is today. There is no nation that has come that can be proud that they have their sovereignty without going through war. United States fought a series of war. First, he's building his own entity, and then secondly, the Great Britain. Great Britain. There is one phrase: no taxation without a representation. That was the philosophy of this great nation, and they fought hard, and they are able to release Britain from their hold onto the people of the United States. Germany, well known today, fought a series of war, not about the surrounding. It fought series of war, Austro-Prussian War, Austro-Austrian War, and the Franco-German War. Those were a series of war that fought against to be able to acquire their sovereignty, the German, under a very strong, skillful individual, the Otto von Bismarck. So there is no nation that has fought. We are also surrounded by enemy force in southern Cameroon. In the north, we have the Chadian, which is a French colony. In the east, we have La République, which is a French colony. In the south, although they are not part of the momentum, then in Nigeria, we expect them to be part of us, to collaborate with us, because we have a history relationship that exists between us and Nigeria. But yet, they have a corrupted leader. They have a corrupted leader that misunderstood the truthfulness, but they choose the wrong side of the game, despite the Justice Department of Nigeria proclaim that the people of Southern Cameroon has the right to exist as people. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So Germany had similar case when they were fighting against their own sovereignty. Germany had a similar case. So we are not exception, and we are not the first to fight to liberate us from enslavement. So, fellow brothers and sisters, I remind you that we can do this if we support those in ground zero, because they need us the most. Provide them the tools and everything they need to achieve this goal and objectives. The flag of Ambazonia is flying.